we have a time, you have given your time towards me, and I have spent some time with you. So to make this time valuable, precious, so something when we leave this room, and maybe there will be more lessons, and then achieve some compassion and generate our compassion. So sometimes practice is something very funny because everybody wants to practice, everybody wants to listen to it. So when it comes to their own practice, then sometimes for beginners it's hard. I'm a beginner. I'm not saying I'm a high level. I'm a beginner. I do my meditation. I have anger. I have hatred. But I am facing it. And the same thing, because the true enemy is not outside. Outside is temporary. They change. Like North Korea, Kim Jong-un, he changed a little bit. For good or bad, we really don't know yet, but he changed. So this is for temporary, right? But real enemy, if you want to pinpoint out, is something inside us every day. So we have to recognize it. We have to, our negative emotion is very tricky because it's a bit like naturally arises. So you might think sometimes it looks like it's very useful sometimes, but then most of the time there's a regret after it. If you are clever enough to recognize this, what do we call it, disadvantage of that. So, and then it comes also with the logic a little bit. So, let's say you have a neighbor and you don't get along with that person, and then so you feel like, I don't care about that person, I don't rely on him, he's nobody for me. And then that person thinks same to you. Then those kind of relationship cuts the interaction between human to human, and you become very solitary. And then you might admire the person who opposite the neighbors are very happy, and then they go to their house and they do party, so that you might admire. So if you admire that kind of example, so you do have an option to open that door next to your neighbor. But what's the blocking is, you put lots of logic in this. He did something, I will never forgive him. He did something this, I will never forgive. He has to apologize me. Or you put lots of logic into this, so you feel like I'm very strong. But then you become very lonely. And then you slowly you might complain, I feel only lonely. Then you really forgot to go into the dig yourself, how you become lonely. So everything leads to your ego or something that you made something, took a step that really closed the relationship. So I'm not saying don't, but when we talk about this, then sometimes it might be look very stupid, because if somebody is looking down to you and then you go there and say, please forgive me, you don't need to go that easy. But then wait for a time, and then the person to the next door might face some big problem. So that time you reach to him and help him, not looking for a benefit for your own good. So for that, you need to be open heart. You should be open. That open door is not for like 1 day, 2 days, every day. So our talk is on, I have this paper with me. Mind training, isn't it? Right? Tell you the truth, I didn't write that down. Somebody wrote it to me, and then I said, wow, that's really good, I want to do this. So thanks for the person who did that. So, so you all went through this? You know what I'm going to say, right? I will read it, so then you will get the idea, right? Non-residential course in Mary Shalom. So, right, please? So, it's called mind training, the title. So here we go. Whether we are believers or non-believers, you all wish to be happy. This is our right as living beings, and we wish to be happy forever, not just for a short while. For this we need to know how to tackle disturbing emotions and how to develop positive mental attitudes. True peace and stability will come from within us, not from outside. From our own experience, we know that helping others makes us feel good. This is exactly deep Buddhist view. Compassion and empathy are the key to our happiness. But we may wonder, don't we sacrifice too much when we help others? This is one big doubt for all. And I have one good story behind it. I will tell you later. Isn't compassion actually harming us by taking away from ourselves? Or is it a case of sacrificing a little for the sake of a greater goal? This way of thinking is part of inner debate we have in our everyday life. Rinpoche, me, will discuss with us what are the advantages and disadvantages of the being compassionate, how we can use difficulties and challenges to get stronger, and how we can train our mind and transform it. So this is the box we are going to stay in. So as written in this paper, when we talk about compassion, then we also have to think about suffering. And we are going to think about suffering not because we like suffering, because we don't like suffering. And once you find a clue to how to make it less, and then get rid of it forever, so once you find this kind of solution, so then you think about compassion, then it's balanced. If not, what happened? When I was in Canada, in I think 2014 something. So I took a semester there in Canada. So one day what happened was our teacher came with a very bad news. Some tragedy happened in Nepal, the big earthquake. Then the teacher said, does anybody know about the news, what happened in Nepal? And then it's quite early in the morning, it's 6:30 in the morning. So I don't get any news about that. So nobody got the news. So teacher, when he was driving from her home to campus, so on the way she put on the radio, and then that's how she got the news. So then she said a big earthquake happened in Nepal, and so many lives are lost, and then so many people are suffering. So then we discussed a little bit about that in our class. So suddenly the teacher said, okay, stop talking about this now. We have so many things to cover up for today. And especially when we talk lots of suffering for others, I have so many things happening in my life, my own life, and I have to face that. And I have no time for other people's suffering in my heart. So forget about it. But I think I was the only one felt not very happy with the teacher's conclusion. But at the same time, I felt like, well, that's sort of true. And then I said, okay. And then later, teacher noticed that on my face. After the class, he said, Serkong, wait. So all of my classmates were dismissed, and then I was left in the classroom. And then teacher came to me. When I said about something about some suffering, and then you look not really happy today. So is this something to do with your practice? So she is clever, and she knows that I am very close to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So then we sat down on table and had quite a big discussion on this. Then I said, well, I think what you said could be true, but then we should, even there are like so many possibilities. Sometimes when you have compassion, you want to go there and help. And sometimes even you cannot reach there, but then you just, I cannot say send your heart away, but then you have feelings that towards them, oh, may whoever now they are in a bad condition, may they will recover very soon. There's some kind of wish that you can open in your heart. And then she said, no, she said, no, this, I can do it. Then when you think about it, even you cannot do it, you just wish them good. And that sounds very incomplete. Isn't it? What do you think? This is a really big discussion with my teacher. We talked that about whole semester. The one semester is for 3 months. So every day when we talk about, hey, compassion boy, he says that, compassion boy, come here, sit down. Let's talk about compassion now. So she's a very kind lady. And she's a very serious one, too, once it comes on a homework. So most people, and also the practitioner who practice compassion, sometimes they end up on this difficulty. So if there's no solution, if you don't see any solution towards it, then people will give up, right? So this is something that you need to remember, and we can talk on this. So she asked me a question, said, what do you do for Nepal? What happened in Nepal? What do? Do you save lives? What do you do? Make donations? So I said, I cannot make any donations, and I cannot go there and save lives. But when I think about all this happened in Nepal, so I feel committed to myself that whenever in next time when I meet Nepali people, so I have to train them. So once ever they come to difficulty, to face their difficulty, and which there is so many things, kind of practice that you cannot buy through money. So, like the people, it's really funny because so many lives are lost, and then there's one small kid which was found underground, and then they dig up, and then she's still alive. And recently they did one interview with her. Now I think she is around 12 or 13 years. And then she was asked an interview, and she's very intelligent, and then asked, your parents died in an earthquake, and now your country is in a bad shape, and so you're still alive, and what do you think, what do you want to do for your country, and what you want to do for the parents who are passed away? So she said, I will study hard, and she said, I will make a building that next time there will be earthquake, then there will be no lives are lost. So this is she's very, I think 12 or 13. So this kind of answer really touched. So there are so many, if you are open-minded, you can find so many solutions. Okay. And sometimes, as we discussed, or I said, I describe you as a very intelligent people, full of intelligent people in this room. So, debating system is very important. Especially now, 21st should be, His Holiness always emphasized that 21st century should be something dialogue, that no war, just talk between people to people. So I'm not bringing any political things in here, then it will become a mess sometimes. So here I'm talking about your own good, for an example. So those kind of debate, this like compassion, is it worth of practicing or not? Thinking about other sufferings, what you gain from that. So those are the things, it's very debatable, isn't it? You, early in the morning when you just wake up and you think about, you turn on the news these days. On the most of the TV channel, I don't know in Israel, but in India, when you just open the news channel, every day they will show bad things. But then, on the other hand, when you put Chinese news on, that is a little bit different. They have only good news. So in India, so I don't put lots of news on, because sometimes it really upsets me. So sometimes I put the news on and watch it, and then after that, I make a room for it. That is so unpleasant feelings afterwards. So once you get this kind of method to deal with yourself, question yourself, answer yourself, and then you gain little something from the textbooks, the people, the wise people, they wrote books, and then there is lots of information about it, and then you try to gain something from it. So then you don't need to run away from the situation, I think. But most people, I do that sometimes, and most people, they do the same thing, like when they face some problem, like family problem, something, lots of problem in work. So what they do is they go up on the hill, down to the beach, and then they try to forget it. And then they took a nice swim in the sea, and in Tel Aviv they have a very beautiful seashore, and then they just drown in and then come back, and the same problem is waiting you there. So how many times you will do and go to Tel Aviv seashore, right? So best method is to face it. So to face it, then first you have to debate with yourself a little bit. So something like I just shared about compassion. So, and it's so if you think like this, then gathering and listening to talk makes you very powerful. I'm not saying I'm powerful in practice, but right after receiving teachings from my teachers, during the teaching, then when I listen to His Holiness giving talks about so many things, and then I get my answers, and then I feel like, wow, I can practice this. I can do it. So then it only lasts like until the teaching is finished. So the teaching is done, then my practice is done. So then I'm back to ordinary life. But still then I try to recall the main points. Then sometimes it's a miracle. That's how I describe miracle. Otherwise, there's no like something light coming from heaven on your head and you become enlightened. I don't believe in this. But then, so we can say, if you want to stay fit, then you need to do exercise. You have to maintain your exercise every day, like warm up and then jogging and then lots of sweating, and then you burn your calories and then come back and be careful on your diet, right? So same thing. So physical body you can maintain or not. Most problem is not your physical body actually. It is just a look, and then something really related to your being healthy. This is the good point. But then the most problem is coming from your way of thinking, isn't it? So then, if you spending lots of time on your body, I think spending a little more with your mind training is more important. This is how you can benefit others and then help your family actually. I have one friend, so he was falling in love with one girl, and then we are like best friends, buddies. So then he said, Serkong, I've done it. I said, Why you have done it? And he said, well, we are getting married now. Oh, I said, congratulations. And they said, he spent almost 5 years to go to say yes. So finally they got married, and then maybe after 2 years, after me coming back from Canada, he came to visit me in Dharamsala, and then he's not looking so happy. And then I didn't ask anything. I was thinking, oh, there should be some issue relating about his marriage now. And then I didn't ask, and he said, okay, I want to say something now. I said, go on. And he said, before she wasn't like this. So he started from this. So I said, well, so you brought the package, so you have to receive all the thing inside what you have brought. You cannot take one part and like this. And he said, I think if life goes on like this, I can't face it like this. So he's talking a little bit about divorce. Then I said, well, so you get divorced, you finish with this girl, and then you approach another way. You won't become like a monk or not married forever. So you will meet other girl. This thing will continue. So how long are you going to do that? So I said, before you are a good practitioner, so now it's time to show your practice. So then he said, well, practice is very good when I'm near with my teachers. So when a teacher is there and the environment is not in a good thing, and then the influence is so bad, he said. And then I said, don't worry. So be yourself and try to bring on the practice at the right moment you can, but slowly you try to do that. So then he will always give me a Skype call, and then there's lots of complaints, and I have to listen to it. And then, oh my goodness, lots of problems. So then, slowly, he started coming to His Holiness Dalai Lama's talk, and then he talked. He slowly changed. And he's a very sharp-minded and intelligent, like people like you. So, one time, maybe after our discussion, maybe 3 years later, he came and he said, are you changed now? Any complaints? And then he said, no complaints. I said, why not? There should be some complaint. And then he said, my wife has lots of complaints, but I don't have. And she will always say, then she said, what are you doing these days? Before you are so ignorant, and now try to ignore me a lot. Now these days you listen very well, you don't do so many things as what I asked, but you've changed. But still, you are not listening to me. That's the biggest complaint. But he's happy, so he doesn't feel bothered at all. So this is, I think, one benefit of. As I know this person, he's not really Buddhist. And he said he read some books of His Holiness, which His Holiness wrote for non-Buddhists. Because His Holiness is as seeing him as a human. He's incredible, I think.